Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today's project, we're going to be hanging up new curtain rods up in that area there. Now you can see that the curtain rod is almost up to the ceiling, and it's a little bit wider than the window itself. Alright, so that's what we're going to do on that window over there. Alright, so let me show you what kind of tools we're going to need, and then we're going to get started. Okay, now this is an example of what kind of tools you're going to need to get this job done. Of course, the window itself is 36 inches wide, and we are going to protrude a little bit further past the window itself. So we have 36, and we're going to go 6 inches on either side, so we have to make sure we have a curtain rod that can accommodate that size expansion or the size of the window itself. Don't get one that has a maximum distance of whatever your window is. Always make sure that you have a section that overlaps so that the rod is not too flimsy. Alright, so this is the one we're using here. We have an assortment of drill bits. We have a hammer, a level, and I'll show you what we're going to use that for in a minute. A pencil, of course, to mark what we're doing. A couple of screwdrivers. A measuring tape to measure the distance we're going to put everything. And of course, we're going to use a drill to pre-drill the holes first. And that's real important. I hear it all the time from people. They try to put the screws in without pre-drilling it, and they wind up with the screws going crooked, and it just looks horrible. So make sure you have a drill that you can pre-drill the holes before you put the curtain rod brackets up. All right, this is an example of the bits that we're going to need. This is in case we have to use drywall anchors or mollies. This is just to see if we're going to hit a stud or a something in the wall that's wood that we can screw into versus using just a molly, and we are going to do that up on top. I'll show you that in a minute. And this is the size that we're going to drill it out. Once we have the stud that we're going to screw it into, we have to pre-drill that hole too. Otherwise, the screws today are made so cheap, they're going to wind up breaking off, and you're going to have a problem. All right, so enough talking. Let's get up there, let's make our measurements, and let's get that curtain hung. Okay, so we determined that we wanted to mount our curtain rod approximately 6 inches from the end of the molding. But how do you know where the end of the molding is when you're measuring up onto a wall? What we're going to do is we're going to take our level, put a level on the molding itself, and project that line up onto the wall so we know where our molding is actually going to end on the wall. We take our bracket, hold our bracket up to the ceiling, but as you can see, the curtain rod's not going to fit because the bracket is touching against the ceiling. So we need to bring it down probably about 1.5 inches so that the curtain rod itself will fit in there without touching up against the ceiling itself. So we grab our level, put a level against the molding itself, and now we have an idea on the wall where the molding ends, which is going to be right there. But instead of marking the wall, we're going to grab some tape. We're going to put some tape on the wall. We're going to mark the tape instead of marking the wall, because obviously after we finish, we can peel the tape off and throw it away. Okay, so that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to grab our tape and get started with the measurement. Now obviously you can use any kind of tape that you want to use. I'm using painter's tape because it can actually go on and be peeled off fairly easy. It really doesn't stick like packing tape would. All right, so we're going to put that on the wall. We're going to grab our level, project that line up onto that tape so that way we know where the molding itself actually ends. So we'll just draw a line now, and now we know that the molding ends right here. So that's what we're going to do. Now remember, we said we want to be 6 inches to the side of the window. So from this point, we're going to measure over approximately 6 inches. So now we have our tape up there. We have the outside of the window marked where it is. Now remember, we want it to be 6 inches to the side of the window itself. So now we're going to measure from where the molding ends to where the curtain rod is going to be attached to the wall. We're going to bring it over to 6 inches, as I said. And now we know where the curtain rod itself, or the bracket for the curtain rod, is going to be mounted. After we mark it over 6 inches, we are going to measure down from the ceiling, down about 1.5 inches, so that way we can get the curtain rod in and out of the curtain rod holder without rubbing up against the ceiling. So we'll bring our bracket over, bring it to approximately the 6 inch mark, put it right up against it, and now we'll measure down that 1.5 inches from the ceiling down to the top of the curtain rod itself so that we get it in the correct location. All right, so let's measure it down, put a mark on there, and we'll continue. Okay, we'll hold our bracket up, grab our measuring tape, and we'll measure down the distance that we need it to be down, which I said was 1.5 inches. We're going to mark the hole in the bracket itself so that we know where to pre-drill to mount that bracket. Grab our pencil, put a mark in there, and now we know where we're going to drill. Okay, next we're going to take our larger drill bit to accommodate the screw that's going to go in there. This drill bit here is too small, and if we try to put the screw in to this hole with just this size of a pre-drilled hole, chances are that screw is going to snap off. So let's change the drill bit to a larger drill bit that the screw will better accommodate. Okay, so now as you can see, the screw itself is a much better size for the drill bit that I'm going to use right here. See? Okay, you want to have the drill bit slightly smaller than the screw, but not too small. All right, so let's pre-drill this hole here. Okay, so that's good. Let's take that tape off there now. Okay, we're going to take our tape off. We don't need these any longer. We can take these both off. Let's get rid of them. Let's put our bracket on the wall. We're going to screw one screw in on the bracket itself right now into that hole that we just drilled. As you can see, the screw goes in really pretty well when you pre-drill it the correct size. So we're going to do that. We're going to screw it down until it's snug, not tight, just snug against the wall. I would recommend doing it by hand versus using a power driver, because the power driver may snap the screw off. All right, so let's grab our small drill bit and let's pre-drill this hole here for the small drill bit, just in case the stud is here or the plate itself comes down that far. I don't think the plate's going to come down that far, but we'll be careful just to make sure. So a very small 1/16 or an 1/8 inch drill bit. Okay. And we're going to drill it in the middle because this is a slotted hole right here. So we're going to drill very slowly to make sure we don't hit that stud. Okay, as you can see, there is no stud behind this second screw right here. So this we have to treat differently than we did this one. This one we need to put a drywall anchor in here or a molly. So let's go down and I'll show you how to tell what molly you're going to use on this particular hole. All right? Okay, so this is the drywall anchor that we're going to be using. It comes with other anchors as well. That's these screw-in type anchors. I would recommend don't even use these. Throw them away. They're really not that good. You'll put this into the drywall and you'll wind up destroying the drywall. You're going to make a hole in there probably over a 1/2 inch in diameter. So don't use these. Use these. They've been around forever. They work really well. And what they do is you drill out the hole. When you screw the screw in there, this spreads open and it tightens up inside the wall itself. All right, and the way you can tell what drill bit you need is you just go to your assortment of drill bits, such as this. You take your anchor, you put it in the hole, and you can see how it fits in there pretty well. You want it to be a snug fit in the hole in the wall, so when you drill it in the wall. So we're going to use a 3/16 drill bit to pre-drill for this molly here. All right, so this one and this one. And we will need a hammer just to tap it in the wall. All right, so let's get up there and let's do that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to turn this to the side just like that. And we'll drill that hole out nice and slow. Okay, next we just put that up like this. Take our anchor, put it in the wall and start it. Take our hammer and just tap it till it's flush. Just like that, the anchor itself is now flush with the wall. Let's grab our screw, put the screw in, and we'll be finished with this one bracket right here. As I said before, screw it in by hand. Don't use a driver because a driver is going to wind up over tightening it, and you're going to have a little bit of a problem with it. Anchor itself may snap off in the wall or may not work properly. So screw it in by hand with this is a Phillips head screwdriver. This particular one, most of them are all Phillips head, just so you know. Now that anchor, when I screw this in, that anchor is spreading out and it'll keep it from pulling back out. All right, make sure we have the bracket straight. Let's snug this down. And it'll tighten this one here all the way. Nice and tight. We're going to bring this where we need it, pull it out over here, and now we'll tighten this down. Just like that. And this bracket is now finished. We're going to do the exact same thing on that side, and then we'll put our curtain rod up. Okay, we're going to put our curtain rod up where it's supposed to be right here. Right here, let's push it together. We're going to turn our set screws here to lock the rod in place so it doesn't come off. And as you can see, we have plenty of room between the top of the bracket and the rod itself to accommodate the curtain rod going in without rubbing up against the ceiling itself. That's why we came down that 1.5 inches. That's it, this curtain rod is done. It's not going anyplace because the top screw here is screwed into either a stud or is screwed into the top plate here, which is a very solid way of doing it. And then the bottom screw here is with the drywall anchor, and that anchor is not going anyplace either. That's screwed in there nice and tight. All right, that's it. This job is done, and we're on to the next one. All right, as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.